Did you find yours?
What? Yep.
You got it.
I
Okay.
did.
Awesome. Do you have yours? Do you want a copy?
What's
I brought some just in case of those fines and fees.
Oh no, I got it. Thank
Okay,
you.
awesome.
You guys all signing these?
I'll trade you this kid for
It has
the one that hasn't come yet.
How
turn
was-
it in by the next planning commission meeting.
We're watching to make sure he
But
gets
it has
home.
to be notary to
Do you do notary stuff?
We've all asked that same question.
You have to go to the bank.
She has me starting on it too, so one of us might be by the time planning commission.
Sounds good.
So at 10 minutes to planning commission, we'll all be signing
Yeah.
their stamps.
Okay, so part of the reason we were gonna have this early is so we could go over these allowed uses and the fines and fees. Because we've put it off so many times since our meetings go so long and then it just keeps getting tabled, so that's why we started a little bit early. And I kinda wanna talk about the subdivision ordinance thing too, so. Do you wanna start with fines and fees or the allowed uses? What do you think's more pressing?
You're the boss.
Not really, I just pretend to.
I think you can do whatever you would like to do.
Let's look at allowed uses first, because I think those are the things we've had more problems with than the fines and fees. I'm always worried that something's gonna sneak up on us, just like the Selden Tower or the Drug and Alcohol Treatment Center, and that we're not gonna be ready, so.
I don't know if I have that one. Do I have that one?
It was in our, I think
I probably
it was in
didn't
our
bring
packet when we talked about it before. Either that or I printed it out. I can't remember, to be honest, but if you printed your packet out for the meeting tonight,
I didn't print all of it out.
cause it's also in there, cause this is like the whole Title 10 thing, and so these ones are more, that's more current, but,
Make sure we print it out. Didn't you?
awesome. And I thought maybe we'll start with residential and then go to commercial.
Okay.
I'm not as concerned about the other two, and I mean, I guess there's actually maybe 3 others, but I think if we can get through commercial and residential tonight, and then move on and talk about the subdivision ordinance and the fines, I guess. So it's under 10-2B-4 is the residential section. And I know we briefly discussed this.
I wasn't printing that one out. Thanks. That's why I
Hey,
wasn't
Sheldon.
printing it out. I read it all.
We're gonna start off with the allowed uses and look at residential and commercial. Here's the copy of it. I don't have a copy of the allowed uses, but you can share mine with me if you want. So I know we talked about this a little bit before. As far as in a residential area, have you guys gone through, is there anything that stood out to you that you don't feel like fits having as an allowed use in a residential area?
A children's treatment facility?
Yeah, that, I mean, that's a big one that we
Any treatment
probably
facility.
need to. The thing that's funny is if you look on commercial, it's not allowed in commercial, but it's allowed in residential. So I thought maybe they mixed up, but I
I
would
think it's
like
because
to,
they live there.
maybe, I don't know.
They sleep there.
But I think if we change it, I mean, I would rather see it in a commercial area than in a residential with like some stipulations. If we go into the definitions, like maybe, you know, it can't be so many feet in proximity to a school or to a daycare or something like that. I think we need to actually have that in our wording so that we have something to go off of from now on when they come in. So, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I don't know if there's some other, you know, because remember they basically tried to sue us under the Disabilities
Right.
Act, so I don't know if that would prevent us from putting it in a residential area. say that having a residential area is what adds some normalcy to their lives. I mean, I don't know what argument would be made the other way.
I know, and obviously I don't know what the laws are regarding that, because you could be right. When I talked to one of the police departments that I talked to, he said, that is not the right place for it. Like, I don't know. I know that I've seen some of those facilities located by like apartment complexes and things like that, so obviously that's a residential area. But I think if our code says, okay, well, we're not saying you can't put it in the city, but it can only be in certain spots, I don't know, and it might be something we have to talk to
Even if
Brandon.
it was in residential area, I think that, your concerns you brought up with the school, I think those are valid, and it's gonna have to be so far away from school, so it's fine.
So,
Like 2 miles from the school,
At least.
there's not a number.
If there's one in our neighborhood, I'm opening a daycare, so are you.
No, I'm not.
2 daycares right there.
so right now it's a conditional use on any size zoning.
I think an important thing on that too, like, one of the things, in the meeting when we gave them their conditional use permit was the number of people. I don't think our thing now limits that. So that was, I kinda went back to that bed and breakfast thing. If the bed and breakfast limits to 10, we really need to have some limitations on the number of people.
Yeah, I think that's smart.
Because if they, Bryce, was it you, I think, were saying they could technically put like 26
I
in
think
there.
they have room for like 20, 22, or 26,
That's
something
just
like that, yeah.
like, based on the state regulation of
Yeah.
square footage per kid.
Per kid, they could have had a lot more.
Yeah, so I think that's a good idea, because the thing is, there's a certain number of kids versus profitability where if it's, if they're stacking 24 kids in there, they're making a ton more money than
Right.
like a 10 or 12 range, like what we had limited to. And I feel like because, 10 was the number that I was kind of saying before, that's at least a good place to start.
So right now, the definition is an establishment or portion thereof that provides permanent provisions for living, sleeping, eating, cooking, and sanitation for more than 8 juveniles under 18 years old, and provides treatment for substance abuse, mental illness, emotional disturbance, developmental disability, mental retardation, or juveniles who have been identified by the judicial system as requiring treatment, therapy, rehabilitation, or supervision. For purposes of this title, this definition shall include group foster homes with more than 13 juveniles, how do you say that? So, do you want to leave it as a conditional use, like not allowed, but conditional use in every single zone, but tighten up the definition of,
I don't see why we can't do both, change both. At least we can see if we can change the zoning. I'm okay with that.
but if we can't, then.
I guess the thing would be like, okay, let's say that they, does the zoning really matter? Because let's say they put it over on 5500 in that area that is already zoned commercial. Would that have, there's still plenty of
There's
houses
still houses.
around there, so
There's houses.
I don't know that that's.
And it depends on where you put it. There's a school.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
they could
Yeah,
put
they've
it
got it.
west of that church, and then it's right next to that subdivision still,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that, so.
So I don't know that the zoning is so much the thing versus the definition.
Okay, so,
Because my understanding is we have to allow it on some level, right? We can't just say no.
but I like your idea of capping it.
Yeah, for sure. That definition said more than 8, and I'm not sure why it even starts at 8, because I feel like there should be eyes on that if it's less than 8 too.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know if we say that anything about, take out the more than 8 and just say less than 12 or 13 or whatever that other number said.
With the stipulations in there, about, can we say no co-ed facilities, and that,
Yeah, I like that.
that we require this many staff, and it can't be located in this proximity to a school.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, no more than 10, is that what you said, or 8?
Well, the other verbiage on, was it foster homes, set up to 13. And technically, we gave them that one at
I think
12.
We gave it to
Foster
them at 12
home
with
is
the
7 to
possibility of
13
extra.
children.
Yeah.
So You said 10 when you
Well, yeah, because I was going off of,
bed and breakfast.
I was kind of comparing it to the bed and breakfast. But I also like the flexibility, like they can be up to 13, but like, 10 is a more realistic number. Like, I think they should earn a 13 number, which is what they're saying they're going to do. They gave us the scholarship on one, and they said, okay, if everything's going good, and we're not having calls, and I don't even know what you classify those things as, like instances with the state.
Yeah.
If they're running the facility like they say they can and will, then not impacting the community. I'm not opposed to giving them the 13. I just don't feel like it should start there. That should be something you show that you can manage and earn.
I think from a
I don't
liability
necessarily know how you
standpoint,
word that, but
like, obviously the more residents you have, the more chance you have of having an incident, and so
Yeah.
I lean more on the side of keeping it lower. Also, when you have a co-ed facility, that increases your chances that there's going to be
I didn't like the
things
COVID
going on.
facility at all.
And I think if we're close to a school, that also is a risk. I think that's one of the main things I'm hearing from people when they come in that they're worried about. So,
Mhm.
so no more than this many residents.
Fully
No co-ed.
fenced property is good.
Fully fenced property. What was the other thing we just talked about? Oh, proximity to a school. Yeah, I got no co-ed, proximity to schools or daycares. Anything else that would fall under that?
Do you need to define proximity, or can we just let that go?
Oh no, you can just define it. I think I'm just putting, and then we'll fill in the blanks. You guys tell me what you think. So no more than blank residents, no co-ed facilities. We'll have to run this by Brandon to make sure, but our code's pretty specific. It cuts it down to however many people. Like, I don't know why that is. We already have a limit on how many we can have, so if we didn't want to tighten it up, we should be okay, I would think. And then, what proximity do you think is fair as far as to the school or daycare?
Well, my troublemaker can run farther than anybody in my family.
What is it for alcohol, 600 feet?
To be sold.
So 1,500 feet?
That wouldn't have changed where that one was, I believe.
No.
Measured it was like right at 1,500. I can't get my phone to do the measurement. But 1,500 feet is just barely over a quarter mile. So I like a half a mile number better.
Okay.
How close does a student have to live to the school
2 miles.
to not ride the bus?
2
2
miles.
miles?
Yeah,
Holy cow! I
Yeah.
thought it was like a mile when I went to school.
well, it probably was when we went to school.
Yeah, probably.
Needs to be closer, but
Yeah.
And, kindergarten sometimes has a shorter distance, but yeah, it's like 2 miles.
Half mile is good.
Yeah, so I thought that same thing, but knowing that it was like 2 miles.
So 2,500, well, half mile's 26.
Yeah, 26, 25.
Well,
26, 40.
I would think most people wouldn't have their kids. Maybe. I'm not judging, but I would probably drive my kid if I lived 2 miles away. But if they lived a mile away, they'd probably be more likely to be walking. So, is a mile unreasonable?
How far was it from your old house to Hooper?
Not very far. I just lived down from Hooper Park.
I know, so I'm trying to think.
So,
what's yours
You
to
weren't,
the elementary?
you weren't quite to
Mine's
6,700.
no,
We
I'm
were-
6,300.
63.
It's gotta be close to a mile, isn't it?
Because mine's a
So
mile
that's
and
probably
a
a
half.
half.
So maybe.
'Cause I think I'm a mile on 7,100. I think I'm a good mile
Well,
from.
the blocks are half-mile blocks
My
out
house
here.
is 68.
Mine's
I'm pretty
1.4,
sure
mine's
it's not
1.5,
a mile.
Your
and I'm over on 48.
distance to the school.
Yeah, I'm on the bus.
We could do 2,500 feet. I don't think you're gonna get the 2 mile.
Is that like half a mile? Because 5280 is a mile, or 58,
Yeah.
right? So
It's a 280.
should we say Then a half mile then?
This is
640.
I don't think that's unreasonable.
Okay. Half mile radius. Right?
Yeah,
Alright, and then no
That's
more
school
than
and daycare.
schools and daycares. Anything else that you think falls under that umbrella? That
What, you know, we have just people that have daycare licenses, so if
we
they,
licensed daycares.
just someone's house that has a bunch of support by kids.
Yeah, I would say
What
licensed
about,
daycares.
what about like preschools?
That's,
I don't know if they fall under that same umbrella, but
I
like
think so.
the,
But they do have to have licensing, I think.
yeah, Sherry ran, Little
Haycock.
Mickey's.
Or,
I don't forget her last name.
well, she got, it
Yep.
changed.
Under the Cowboy Church, she was there for a while. She didn't teach this year, but I think my kids were there. So I'm just saying that, like, my kids were also playing all the time. They
Mhm.
were there, so.
The only other thing I can think of for kids would really be is parks. And I don't know that they're not gonna be there all the time.
no,
Okay, and
Typically, your kids will be there with their parents.
Yeah. and then no more than, what did we decide, how many residents?
I like the same as the bed and breakfast, the 10.
10?
Okay.
Okay. No more than 10 residents, no co-ed facilities, fully fenced property, proximity to schools, daycares, and preschools, no more than
I wish I had my
5
list
radius.
of, because all the different conditions we put on it, other conditions we put on
They're
it
they're on our minutes.
were like,
Where are those?
the like alarm system, the security system. We could even say like the on-site security.
Ah,
security.
8 feet tall fence.
I'm sorry. Oh, so it's fully fenced property with a minimum 8-foot fence.
No violent or
You
sex
looked at them
offenders.
fines,
On-site
Which one
security
you like?
24 hours.
Which fines?
No violent
These? I don't look them over.
sex offenders. I know you put no awards of the state. I don't know. I don't know if we can. I don't know what the
legal.
conditions are. Yeah.
Well, I think if they have wards of the state, then their licensing changes, because now they're taking, lack of a better word, convicts, if you will, or, you know what I mean? So I think their license changes if they do that.
That's not, the 3 acres, yeah.
I went back and listened to the recording, so I was like, "Is this everything that you guys said?" Because there's a lot. And I think this is a good one too. That they're required to send a census report quarterly to the city.
This was my favorite one that I did.
Outline. Oops. Thanks. Okay. I mean, I don't think it would hurt to put this either as far as the adhering to the Department of Health and Human Services regulations for their applicable license.
I
'Cause
mean,
that
it's
covers
kinda-
us doubly.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a repeating the obvious type of thing, but if they don't, then they're in double violation, basically. I wonder if we could have something like this in, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I think, to me, if they know that this is what's required up front, it may just kind of weed out people that are
Yeah.
like, no, we don't want to deal with all the stipulations, but we're doing it to keep our community.
So maybe just say something like,
All of the conditions that the planning commission made, no.
well, just say something like, the permit can be revoked if they have an excess amount of calls. I mean, the only thing I worry about that, even when we did that one, was like, they just don't call. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the phone's unplugged at the house
know.
type of thing. Got the kid catcher out there with his big net. Like, "Get back in there.
Permit
Don't
can,
tell anyone.
permit can be revoked if law enforcement calls exceed 4 per year. Mediation to be attempted first, or to be, isn't that what you guys said?
Yeah. Basically, they have to come back in and explain what's going on. It wasn't like going to be a direct revocation, but like, hey, what's going on? Why are you... And they set the number.
I heard him, and they're like, I'm comfortable with 4. So I'm like,
I
you
was
said 4 per month, and he's like, no, 4 per year. So it's like, that's good. Permit can be revoked if law enforcement calls exceed 4 per year. Mediation may be attempted first, something. Maybe
Warranted.
warranted. Okay. Anything else on that one?
No.
What else? Did you guys?
We're still going over our fee schedule, right?
Yeah, we talked about. We thought
So,
maybe do the
was there
allowed
any
uses
other
first.
things as far as like old folks' homes or something like that that we need to be worried about?
Assisted living.
As far as allowing them, or you mean
Or
within
just-
proximity to this?
Well, yeah, just like buttoning that up as far as like, I mean, I like them. I think that they're good. Well, they definitely can be good, but they can be bad too.
Sure.
So, what can we do that? You know, there's, and you know, I guess I'm going to tell because I don't know, but there's some facilities have a reputation for being bad, and some have a reputation for being good. And obviously, a lot of that is just like the owners making them that way. But
Sure.
what can we do to steer that
In a better
in a
direction.
better direction as far as like, you know, staff per employee, or sorry, staff per employee, just client
Mhm.
or resident? Might be worth looking at that.
Yeah,
Just,
let's look at the
Can
definition.
you put like a definition of like, I don't know, the ones where they take care of themselves, the people take care of themselves, but they have staff rather than,
yeah, I know, and that's the other thing too, is there's different tiers within it for sure. There's
Okay.
assisted living and just
Right.
like planned community living. and-
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
plus there's
definitely
Alzheimer
tiers
ones.
inside of that, so.
So I don't see assisted living. It could be under something else. I don't know if you see it.
It's under,
There's like a group daycare home for children or adults who regularly receive care and supervision, but that's less than 15 hours a day. Did you say you found it, Morgan?
no.
No, maybe you don't have them.
I swear there was something.
Like halfway house?
We don't want those.
That's another thing, like,
Are you talking, sorry, I was spacing out, residential care facility? Is that
yeah,
the one
just
you're
like an
looking for?
assisted living,
Yeah, it's
you
under
know?
residential care facility. If you look at residential care facility, the last line, is that what you're looking at?
It helps if I know that, but let's see.
Well, there's a nursing facility skilled, and then
Oh,
a
that could be
residential
it, too.
care facility.
So let's see, residential care
So
facility.
the last line of that one says the shall, but not be limited to assisted living, retirement home, and respite care.
So this would be non-medical, the residential care facility.
Right.
You'd be looking
But then,
for-
like assisted living, they provide medical care too, so that's probably a skilled nursing facility, I would say. Both of those we probably would wanna make sure the definitions are how we want them. I'm still not there.
Now, the residential care one says there can only be 8,
Is that on the back?
or wait,
Probably.
more than 8.
I don't know. Is there, okay, wouldn't it be IJK? Is it under nursing? Is that the first?
Page 29 has residential care.
There's nursing facility
And nursing
skills.
is on,
It's gotta
An
be.
establishment that provides permanent division for
Nursing
living,
is
sleeping,
like
and
a-
eating.
Yep, nursing facilities.
Okay. It's like, what? Okay. An establishment that provides a permanent provision, or permanent provisions for living, sleeping, eating, cooking, sanitation, healthcare needs to more than 8 individuals who at minimum require inpatient care and services for 24 or more consecutive hours, for unstable chronic health problems, daily professional nursing supervision. I feel like this is a little bit more, I wouldn't worry as much maybe, I don't know, maybe,
Well, I think they're all gonna have their, requirements by the state too.
sure,
But like I said, obviously, there's certain facilities that don't have as good a reputation as others.
right.
I guess I don't know enough about it to know what to say on it.
And I don't know if you have a lot of law enforcement calls per se to something like
No.
that.
I guess
where-
I'm more just worried about the care of the people inside
Right.
of it, like making sure they have the staff ratio is good.
Can we,
I don't know.
I don't know, I don't even know.
I
if
think
we
that's
can.
state, isn't it? With their licenses.
I would think so,
Yeah, but
but I don't know, like with a lot of things that the state has, we can put our own on top of that if we wanna make it more stringent. I just don't know when it comes to health and human services, like, how much leeway do you have with that?
except you have a note on this about it being in commercial.
Yeah, it's. Which one is that? The nursing one? Okay, let me make sure. Cause this is commercial. Maybe that's why I have a question mark on it. Cause I don't think it's on here. There's residential care. But it doesn't even say that we allow a skilled nursing facility in a commercial area, and I would think it would be more, every one I've seen of those is in a commercial area for a skilled nursing facility. I don't know if I've ever, maybe there are some, but,
Like I said, I don't necessarily know where the definition begins and ends. Those.
I just, with my parents, when they, especially my mom, she's had the gate and some of those at different times over the last few years, and they're all located in commercial areas, so I don't,
I think most of them are,
so it's strange that we don't have it on the commercial,
or bordering.
but we have it in the residential. So is that something we wanna move so it can be allowed in commercial?
Sure.
I would.
See why.
Because they're gonna need parking.
In all commercial zones? I don't know that it makes any difference, but, okay. Let's see, residential treatment. That is allowed in one of the commercial zones. Technically two, if you count the limited office space. I guess some of the main ones, like, I'm just worried about, I wanna make sure we're looking at anything that's gonna be like hot topic controversial that people are gonna come in, like the drug and alcohol treatment facility or the cell phone tower. Like,
The thing is, like, you never really know until,
till it comes in, that's why we're trying to be proactive.
like, I don't know if somebody could have a boarding house.
Yeah, a boarding house, I mean, it's not allowed in residential,
I guess it's not allowed.
I don't know if it's in commercial.
It's in
It is in commercial, but I had a note on there, more defined, like I think we need to maybe tighten up that definition. This is like something that is like a lengthy thing, I don't think we're gonna get through everything. Okay. Dangerous or protected animals, I mean, if somebody has a tiger next door, is that okay, as long as we put in stipulations that they have to be in a cage, or, I don't know, there were just some things that I was like, would that ever happen, but maybe,
Most of those people, you wouldn't know they have one.
yeah. Let's see, and I think, didn't you point out, Blake, like the fence, the barbed wire or electric fence? I circled that, I thought that it was either brought that up when we were in our other meeting, but I don't know why we would even need to have that in an R2 zone?
Half-acre lot?
Yeah, I mean,
Plenty of people have half-acre lots in the whole back areas, like, you know.
I guess if it was maybe adjacent to, like, I'm just thinking not in between, like, homes, right? Wouldn't that be more of an agricultural type thing?
I think so.
So we're right here. And just right up the street are, these houses are like half-acre lots, and they look better now, but I'm sure I could find other half-acre lots that, you know, the houses here and way back here is gonna be more like, you know, not well kept.
Mm-hmm.
And like mine, I'm an R1, but I've got barbed wire around mine. I was there from when, you know, it was a field.
Well, and I don't really care. I guess the electric fence was what caught my eye because I was like, well, you live in a subdivision and you've got an electric fence when people have kids. I don't know. I guess I'm trying to understand.
I think it depends on how many animals you can have on
No, only
that
do it a
acre.
couple times.
That's right.
That's true.
I say when my grandpa had an electric fence, and that was, you know,
Oh, yeah.
that was half the fun when we were at grandpa's house.
We've all had that rite of passage.
I guess if it's not going to kill them, maybe we'll just foster home. Let's see. I think there were just a couple others that I had circled on here. Residential care facility, I think that is one that we do need to look at because is that something that's similar to the drug and alcohol treatment facility? Like, did we look at the definition on it?
I think that's for older people.
That's personal care or assistance, like a rehab, if they get released from the hospital and have to rehab like a hip or a knee or.
So it's not ever for like addiction type stuff?
No, it's for assisted living facility, retirement home, and respite care.
Okay. So I think that's okay. Well, what was it, when they very first came in and applied for this, and they didn't have it designated as a children's, they had it as a treatment facility, drug and alcohol treatment facility. So is that not currently even allowed in our, oh, it is, it's right here. So would we wanna have the same stipulations on this that we do on the children's treatment facility? Okay. And I guess I didn't understand, like, on the roadside produce stand, why that isn't allowed? I mean, where we live in Hooper and people sell little, I don't know,
Yeah.
to me, I don't think that's, I don't feel like that's an issue, but is there a reason you can think of why we wouldn't want to allow that in any area?
Is it allowed?
Get a new one?
Just R1,
Yeah, well, it's the same one. Well, it's the one that wasn't working last time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem.
Yeah, the mic's good in this one.
some of them I just think don't make sense, like, I
They can
don't know
hear
why
us.
that would be. I guess maybe if you think about like R2, the houses are closer together, and if you had a whole bunch of traffic coming in to get stuff, but
Yeah, but they're
Does
that
that mean you
close
can't
together
just-
down, when Thurl Cox was selling his. And they're half acre or big or closer together.
so you think we should allow it in half acre or all of them?
I don't see why you wouldn't do it in all of them.
Well, most of the half acre and third acre are 100-foot frontage, so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So-
Well, and the people in the half acre or live smaller aren't gonna have the produce.
Yeah, but who's
But
to say that,
sometimes,
like,
like,
you don't grow it on your farm and take it up to, you know,
That's true.
somebody else's house.
Well, and even
But I don't have a problem with it, like, sell your corn, you know?
I have neighbors and things that, like even my sister, they grew pumpkins. Her kids had this little pumpkin growing business, and then they live on a half acre, and they sold it, and people came. I just don't think people should get in trouble for doing. I don't think it's going to be a major operation,
No.
but you're going to have people that'll try to turn people in if you know.
Is it defined as a roadside stand?
It
Yeah.
says real.
Yeah,
Let me look
produce
what the
stand.
definition says on it.
Roadside produce stand.
A roadside produce stand, an establishment where farm produce is displayed and sold to the general public.
I was gonna say, because that could possibly open the door to other people wanting to sell other things roadside that you want to limit. So,
But it does say produce.
yeah.
They do have a separate one for seasonal stands,
What does that one say?
fireworks, snow cone, and
Ah.
Christmas trees.
Fireworks, snow
You can't
cones,
get
and
rid of the snow.
Oh, yeah, the term seasonal stand shall include, but not limited to, fireworks, snow cones, produce, or Christmas tree.
But not limited to, I guess. Broader. That just brings up one point.
So is it just
I'm-
Christmas tree stands or Christmas
where's that
trees
even
too?
allowed at? I don't
Oh,
see
where's
it on
it allowed at?
commercial
I don't know.
or
I don't
And,
even,
I don't see it on
Maybe it's in
commercial or residential.
it's just in the definitions.
yeah, I don't know. It might not be. Might not have an application in the allowances. I don't
Well,
know.
let's get it one.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. All right. Anything else on there? And these, I guess, as long as we can put in talking about the towers, like the cell phone towers and different things like that. We have a cell phone tower ordinance now, so that should cover us hopefully.
So do we change this to all approved, or change it to conditional?
I mean, I don't think
For
people should
produce,
have to
I'm
come
okay
in and
with
get a
going- yeah,
conditional.
for
I think
produce,
we
I'm
should just allow it.
I agree.
If we did make them get a conditional use permit, I would say, like if you lived in a subdivision, like we don't have this, but if we have like, 6 homes, if it's really, really tight in there and there's not a lot of room to move around, but I don't have a problem with it really at all, so. Okay, so all zones allowed.
All of a sudden next year, we got like 50 produce stands popping up. every single day.
Then we don't have to run Kent's.
There you go.
Or Smith's?
What about commercial, unless there's anything else residential that stands out to you?
No.
So, let's see. So, under automobile major repair,
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's under, Whittison's is in an industrial area, right?
Mhm.
So, it's like,
M1, I think.
we allow it in C2, but we don't allow it in C1. And I guess I just questioned if it matters.
Do we allow
like-
it in R1?
I doubt it. Well, we just had that problem, didn't we?
We still do.
Do we?
Well, if you go down the backside of 5100, that guy's running that truck repair business
Oh, really?
just as you turn the corner.
Yeah, so there's automotive hobby, and that's allowed. But as far as a business, that's not on a residential.
I mean, the frontage is on 4900 or whatever that half road is, just across from the
You
burned
know
down
about
church.
All of the cool stuff going on. in the city.
50/50 Shenandoah.
Yeah, 50/50.
Mm-hmm.
That old boy that runs that.
Yeah, he used to. He doesn't do that anymore. He just has a bunch of crap parked out there now.
Well, he just pulled in with his commercial truck that he goes out and does all the greases and
Yeah, he works for
Wadsworth.
Wadsworth now.
does he?
Yeah.
So, as far as the automotive repair, major repair, is there a reason why we wouldn't want that in a commercial area? In both commercial C1 or C2?
I think it's all right.
We want commercial, right? Like some.
Yeah.
So, okay, so. So we'll add that to C1. And then bar, brew pub, or nightclub. Do we want any certain restrictions on those? Do we want locations? Do we?
Well, you're gonna follow the state. It's 600 feet, isn't it? They can't be.
Or, yeah, something like that.
To a school? What
Okay.
about daycares or anything like that? I mean, does it, I don't know. I don't know what, I'm more worried about them just getting on the road and driving if they've been drinking.
They
but-
do a bar in Hooper, it's gonna be a heck of a lot like the confectionery in Plain City.
That's speaking Hooper now, but down the road, like, I don't know. Boarding house, these are just a couple that I put on here because I don't know if that's
Boarding
something we
house.
want. Do you have the definition of that? Oh, it's right here. An establishment with individual rooms where meals and lodging are provided for with or without compensation to more than 2 but not more than 10 persons. A boarding house shall include but not be limited to a rooming house, shelter, convent, monastery, dormitory, fraternity house, sorority house, or any age group of individuals whose association is temporary or seasonal in nature.
Well, they had you had a boys' home down on 7500
Yeah, I
when you were
remember that.
growing up.
I remember that. It was right across the street from my friend's house. Hotels, motels, multifamily developments, and bed and breakfast establishments are herein defined, shall not be considered boarding houses. As some of these things, I don't see them happening right now, but Hooper could change a lot, so you have to think down the road. I mean, when you're talking about a shelter, like, the sad reality of it is that a lot of people, that would be like in a homeless shelter or something like that, a lot of times do have some, substance abuse or mental health issues that you might not want it located right next to a school or something like that. So I don't know if we want to put something in place, or what are your thoughts? I mean, technically, we don't have to allow them at all if we didn't want to, but
Well, put it to you this way, if we got an application for one, what would happen? So if we don't have to let them in, then why do we even have them on there?
Does an Airbnb fall under that?
it's a good question, because that's something that I wonder if it's being run as a business, if that's something that should be coming part of that to the city or whatever, I don't know
Because
how
it's
they do
not a
that.
bed and breakfast, because you're not providing breakfast. And you don't provide them, you just rent out your house.
Right.
Historically, we have allowed,
I mean, it could be a
It does say
rental
where
too.
meals and lodging are provided for, with or without compensation. So I don't think an Airbnb would fall into that, right? I mean, I've never stayed in an Airbnb where they provided meals.
well, they could
That's what I
have,
mean, so I don't know where.
they could have a thing of cereal in there and be like, it's provided,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
True.
That's what I would do, if that was the argument.
Shall include, but not be limited to, a rooming house, shelter, convent, monastery, dormitory, or any group of individuals whose association is temporary or seasonal in nature. Where it says hotels, motels are not in that, I would put an Airbnb more in that category, isn't it? Like, I don't know, maybe we just need to put in the definition, this does not include Airbnbs, or it does.
I know of people that have them at Hooper and have never heard any complaints about it.
Yeah,
so
I don't think there's,
It's not like we're next to a college
no.
football stadium or, you know what I mean, something like that, but it's bringing them in like crazy, so.
So what if we just tightened up the definition that this does not include Airbnbs?
you could do
And then
that. I
we
just
just don't
wondered where
allow
they
them.
fit.
Is that what you're thinking? Or did I misread your comment?
Because whether we have explicitly allowed them or not, they are here and they haven't been initiated.
I don't mean the Airbnbs, I just mean boarding houses.
Oh, boarding
So
houses.
if we put the definition of boarding house and specifically said this does not include Airbnb type,
Well, it does say rooms, and an Airbnb is not a room, it's the whole house. So it's probably not.
Well,
that.
well, it can be, you can get an Airbnb for one room.
Oh, can you?
Or like a basement or.
Shoot, I'm gonna kick some kids out. Get somebody who pays rent.
Oh, shoot.
Well, we're supposed to have a discussion and a motion on it tonight, but I don't know that we're ready.
Well, we know kids only need.
One thing to note, right, is in the conditional use process, you can always deny these.
Put your
if
kids
they aren't
forward to a
reasonable
bed.
to make them safe.
Sure.
There's always a blanket coverage there.
Good job, Peter.
20 square feet.
So I
Can I
need,
borrow the tractor?
I'll do the
We
pledge.
might kill each other.
I saw how you jumped on that. I was just gonna say I need a prayer and a pledge. Blake is gonna do the pledge.
They might kill each other.
Jessica, would you mind saying the prayer? You don't have to. It's always on.
Bryce is so good at it.
I feel like I pick on Bryce all the time. I don't mind saying it. I'll say it if you want to say that.
You have to meet your abstinence pledge.
So we gotta get up there, but what are your thoughts? Like, I mean, we have had some discussion, but I don't think we're ready to make a motion on this. We're still, this, what we've been talking about, we haven't even looked
I
at.
didn't want to read that.
But, section 8, aren't we good with that?
I'm not. Everywhere that there's a tab on here is something that we talked about that didn't get put in, or they added something else in that we haven't discussed. So
Well, I guess we need to, does this need to be tabled or what do we need to do with it?
I feel like we need to table it until we, I mean,
Table it and meet again.
that's, you have to remember, like, they had the entire year to look on this. They gave it to us 2 days initially before the meeting, and then wanted us to make a motion on it. And there's no way,
Well, that's the option. We'll deny it as is or just, I think we just table it.
I say you did
And we'll just say, I need to make the changes we talked about in the last meeting.
Okay.
I didn't come to that.
There was one thing I noticed real fast.
Okay,
On,
I'll be in person to the next one, not on Zoom.
it's okay.
and I was gonna look it up. So I said my kids would kill each other. That they look for.
I really do. Something. We are going to have a pledge of allegiance by Commissioner Severing, and I will offer the reverence.
Everybody do that. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we come before thee with gratitude in our hearts for all of the many blessings that thou hast given to us. We are grateful to be able to meet tonight and to discuss the needs of our community. We're grateful for this country that we live in and for the city that we live in and the freedoms and blessings that we enjoy. We're grateful for the people that are here tonight and willing to participate in this process. We ask that thou please help us to be receptive to the things that are said and be able to make decisions that are based in truth and wisdom. We thank thee for all that we have, and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Okay. The first item of business is a consent item, an approval of the minutes dated October 10th, 2024. Commissioners, did you all have a chance to review those minutes? And did you see anything that needed to be changed? Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes dated October 10th, 2024.
I'll second.
So I have a motion to approve the minutes by Commissioner Severing and a second from Commissioner Greener. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. All right, the next item of business is a conditional use permit request for Robert Hickman for an oversized structure totaling 1,472 square feet and an accessory dwelling unit. Is there someone here, or actually, do we have a presentation from staff on this?
Yep, as mentioned, we have an application here for Hickman. I don't believe it would necessarily be oversized structure. I think it's under the requirement at the 1472, but you'll see the ADU component there. Height of the structure, 26 feet. It's a half-acre property. Let me get to that. Can you go to the next slide for that? Thanks. Go ahead and click again. Here's the site plan where the home is, meeting the setbacks, and you can see in the back of the home where the structure will be. Could you click again, Jamie? Thanks. Go ahead and keep clicking. There's a conceptual what the building will look like, the ADU door on the side. You can go ahead and click one more time. And there's a floor plan of what the accessory dwelling unit will look like at the 650 feet there. So what we had for an application.
Okay, thanks, Malcolm. So, my understanding is our maximum height without the need for a conditional use permit is 25 feet in a half-acre zone. So if they're at 26, we would need it. That's oversized, right? I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
That would be oversized if you hire, you're right.
Okay. Let's see.
So it's approved,
It has to be approved for the, yes, because it didn't specify that on here. Okay, is there anyone here for Mr. Hickman to represent?
Can I?
Do you want to come up to the microphone and please give us your name and let us know if you're a Hooper resident?
What'd you say?
Could you just tell us your name and if you are a Hooper resident?
Yeah, Robert Hickman.
All right, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you're wanting to do?
Yeah, it's just, a general shop use building. Not really gonna put a renter in that, just going to, just have it, on the property, I guess, extra living space.
Okay.
That patio, tell them that patio cover, you're not taking
Oh,
that
yeah.
cover, that cover will be gone.
Sorry, so we're recording the meeting, and so we won't be able to hear unless you speak into the microphone. So if you'll just tell us your name, because we have to make sure we have a record of everything, and then if you'll repeat that again, thank you.
You bet. I'm Lori Hickman. So that shed roof on the, the lean-to shed roof right there, that's not gonna be on there. So that, and these are just our initial plans, right? We haven't spent the money to go and have him get it specifically drawn until we get approval. So I don't think that he's gonna have a problem coming in with that 25 to meet your maximum height requirement of 25 feet. Because these were just kind of a general bid set plan that we got from Karis.
Okay, and if you do want to do exceed that 25 feet, that's okay. It's just application wise, we need to make sure that we specify on here that you're getting a conditional use permit for an oversized structure as well as for the accessory dwelling unit.
Okay.
And so we would just need to make sure that you sign the proper paperwork for that.
Okay.
And it's important because down the road, if you say, oh, we're only going to do 25 and you come in at 28,
Right.
then
right.
it
Then we
may
have a
kind of
problem.
a headache for you.
Yeah.
So
And I don't know, maybe with the way that the trusses and stuff are, maybe it has to be 26. So we'll get with Karis and figure it out.
okay. So Brandon, we can approve that based on 26, but with the condition that they need to sign that.
Yeah, so my understanding is that based upon whatever your approval is, the city will put together an actual permit that they have to sign that will have all those conditions on it.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Okay.
clear.
But if we say 26, then that would be the maximum.
Okay.
Also, I didn't see on the accessory dwelling unit application, I don't know if this is, again, the most up-to-date one that we have because it doesn't have any wording on there about owner occupancy. And we recently had updated those ordinances. It used to be that you had to occupy the primary residence,
And he does. He owns
Which
the
is-
home.
which
Yeah.
is okay. It's
Yeah.
just now they've changed that so that you can either occupy the primary or the accessory dwelling, but you have to occupy one of those the entire time if you intend to rent it. And so probably have you sign the updated contract on that too.
Okay.
So that we just make sure we have everything understood and there's no confusion on it. Do you guys have any other questions for them?
Does the patio off the ADU, is that included in the square footage we allow?
I think it says in our exclusive of the garage, covered porch, or patio, so it shouldn't, right? Okay, I don't think we have any other questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
I don't have any questions, probably fine. But the sewer ability, you guys can run that to the sewer system.
Okay, so this is a public hearing. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to make a comment regarding this?
So where's this being built?
So can you come up to the microphone? Sorry, we just have to make sure we have
Okay.
everything recorded.
So is this in the silver
Sorry,
stack?
could you tell us your name too?
Sure, it's Rinda. Instead of Linda, it's Rinda with an R. Potts. Is this in the Silver Saddle subdivision?
Are you guys in the Silver Saddle subdivision? There is one, we do have one of the requests tonight that is in that subdivision.
Yeah, that's the one I want to talk about.
Okay.
Sorry,
All right,
but
so not this one.
thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Okay, in that case, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the planning commission for discussion and a motion. Anybody want to discuss or make a motion?
I mean, I think it checks all the boxes it needs to.
All right, so I will,
The only other thing, like sometimes we talked about, access to the back, and from Google Maps, it looks like you guys have access around the left side of your house, just use that just fine, right? So, yeah.
all right, in that case, I will entertain a motion. Just a reminder that we do need to make sure that the application, both the ADU and the oversized structure, are both updated in that approval.
I'll make a motion that we approve the oversized structure and ADU permits for the structure located at 5994 West, 5900 South, under the additional conditions of it not being over 26 feet tall, the application for the ADU and the conditional use permit for this oversized structure be updated according to the newest forms.
I have a motion from Commissioner Greener
I'll second.
and a second from Commissioner Widdowson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is a conditional use permit request for Robert Edwards for an oversized structure. Do we have a presentation from the staff on that?
Robert Edwards came in prior for a conditional use permit and was given one. He needed to extend the awning, and so his home's located at 4373 South, 5400 West in Hooper. It's with the updated square footage, it's 2,160 square feet. So this was his prior application, but the additional square footage is awning, not structure space or cover inside of the building. It's a 23.5-foot building still. You can go to the next slide. You kind of see the original conditional use was granted as it's drawn. You can see that awning there on the left if you're looking at it. That's going to be extended down the whole side of the building at the same dimensions. That's 28 feet down the side. And that's what added the square footage. So he's just coming back in for approval of that so he can finish up his building.
So do we care if we do?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
overall.
Footprint, okay.
So the 2160, the older than new number.
The new number, yeah, from the 1826, so 334 more square feet for the structure.
Which
But
is all on.
all on, yeah. But,
So
that's
everything else, oh, sorry, go ahead, Malcolm, sorry.
Good.
So I was just gonna, so everything else, those other structures have already been approved, it's just that little piece that I didn't see any, like setbacks or anything on there, so I just wanted to make sure we were okay on those.
Yeah, it's all been approved.
We approved it last month.
Yeah, the building's done to approval to this point. He just wants to add the awning, so we just wanted him to get approval to make sure that it was all good.
Okay, that was gone last month, so, okay. All right, so, thank you. And is there anyone here for Mr. Edwards? If you want to come up to the microphone, please. If you'll please tell us your name, and we know you live in Hooper, so.
Robert Edwards, yeah, I live in Hooper.
Okay. All right. Do you have any additional information you want to provide to the commission, or?
No, it's just awning and, well, I guess I would like, what is your definition of square footage?
In this particular
Yeah.
instance, it's anything that has a roof line covering it.
So it's a roof line, okay. Doesn't matter if it's got walls around it, cement under it, nothing.
Correct.
So a covered patio on the back of your house, you consider that as square footage to your house?
No, for the conditional use permit.
So,
Okay.
well, I was a little confused on that too, because our ADU definition is a little bit different, so that's why it's a little bit confusing, I think. Because usually you wouldn't include square footage on an appraised value or something like that, you wouldn't include that in, so.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's
It's
kind of
just-
put me behind by a month for
Yeah.
300 square feet. It's kind of ridiculous, actually.
Well,
Yeah,
that's,
the idea behind it is basically like, these are approved size-wise based off of like intrusion on neighbors and that kind of thing. That's why, in that, I think R2 is over, anything over 1,500 square feet has to be
Right.
approved. So that's kind of the idea behind it.
Okay, yeah, nothing else.
okay, thank you. All right, and, so this is a public hearing. I will open it up for public comment, if there's anybody who would like to comment on this particular application. Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission for discussion. Any thoughts or questions?
I'll make a motion that we approve the conditional use permit for Bob Edwards at 4373 South, 5400 West, with the square footage changed from 1826 to 2160.
I'll second.
Have a motion to approve from Commissioner Severing and a second from Commissioner Greener. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Okay, the next item is for a conditional use permit request for Ray Hawks for an oversized structure totaling 2,500 square feet located at 3661 South, 5325 West. We'll have a presentation from Malcolm.
Yeah, you can see the building site, or the location of the lot there with where the building will be located. Only note on this would be 22 feet 8 inches at the height. Could you jump to it's an R2 zone as well. This is note, if you can jump to the next slide, it should show us the building here, or the site of it. There we go. So there's the existing building with the proposed structure there in the back. Setbacks have been checked from the staff and look good with the accessory structure. And you can go ahead and jump to the next one to see a conceptual of what it'll look like. Here's our building. And I think that's everything we have.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there anyone here from the Hawks?
Right here.
Could you come up to the microphone and just tell us your name, please? And
I'm Jake Yeoman. I am the contractor that's going to be building the building for Ray as everything gets approved, but don't really have anything additional to add to it.
okay.
So, unless you guys have any questions for me.
You guys have any questions? No electrical, no plumbing.
Yeah, as far as I've been contracted, I'm not in charge of any electrical plumbing, and he hasn't stated anything otherwise. Just needs the building for RV storage. So.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, this is a public hearing, so we will open it up for public comment. If anybody would like to comment on this, can you please come up and tell us your name one more
Sure.
time, and if you are a Hooper resident, please.
Okay, I am a Hooper resident. I don't say correctly because I'm new to Hooper. We've been here over a year and a half. My property is the backyard neighbor. I live on 3664 South, 5400 West.
And I'm sorry, maybe I missed it, but did you give us your name again? I know you said it before, but.
It's Rinda, R-I-N-D-A, Potts,
Okay.
P-O-T-T-S, and we are the neighbors directly behind what they're asking for. And I would like to say thank you for giving us this time to talk about, what's being happening in the request of our neighbor. I wanted to attend and speak briefly tonight to request a decline of this permit, and I'll share a few reasons why. The first, the value of our properties, mine, my neighbors, and even the owner of the property requesting this permit. A structure like this could have a direct impact on the overall look and feel of our small neighborhood and extremely devalue the resale amount of us could receive. I have personally invested thousands of dollars into my landscaping, and no, I'm not the only one. Most structures that have been approved so far are on lots close to fields or without backyard neighbors. This lot is in the middle of our subdivision, in the middle of a block with many, many neighbors impacted. Right now, each one of us can step outside to enjoy the sunrise and sunset with mostly unobscured views. It's what we love about Hooper and would impact the price of our house if we would one day choose to sell. The other note I wanted to mention was the legacy of Hooper. With my landscaping, I took the time and hours to plant tomatoes. This is part of Hooper's history, and this project would potentially prevent my plants from getting the sunlight they needed. Lastly, and most importantly, my family received the devastating news this summer that my son, who is 30, has acute myeloid leukemia. He moved in with us and is undergoing treatment at Huntsman Cancer Center. On Thanksgiving Day, he will be admitted to the hospital for a bone marrow transplant, a procedure that will entirely compromise his immune system. We have been heated countless times by his doctors to avoid construction zones as the dust in the air could wipe the system out, and I do not exaggerate when I say that this will kill him. This project would make the yard directly behind ours a construction zone, meaning that my own son would be unable to step outside when he finds the rare moment of energy. If the only thing you could do is delay this project until he has recovered, which can be between 6 to 12 months, I ask that you consider a delay or the most ideal declining this permit for the benefit of our neighbors and overall value. Thank you for your consideration and time.
thank you. Any other public comments? Okay. I will go ahead and bring it back to the commission for discussion.
What is your guys' construction timeline look like?
Like building this size, probably about like 4 to 5 weeks max.
Are you really even disturbing the ground, or is it more like a cold shed? Are you putting,
I mean, really the only, I guess, like disturbance of the ground would be digging for the pier footings. That's really the only, like, we're not gonna be really, I guess, digging a whole house, just basically a auger holes for each post. And spreading some gravel for the slab.
When do you anticipate you would start?
I mean, we're pretty much ready as soon as our permit gets approved. I mean, this is kind of the meeting we've been waiting for, just to get everything pushed through, so.
do you have those pier footings done before Thanksgiving?
I am 100%.
Any other discussion or questions? Okay. Seeing no other discussion, then I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the oversized structure for Ray Hawks located at 3661 South, 5325 West for 2,500 square feet.
I'll second.
A motion to approve from Commissioner Greener and a motion to second from Commissioner Widdowson. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. And I do hope everything goes okay with your son. These kinds of situations are difficult because we are bound by what?
Right.
What the
This
laws
will,
are, so.
he gets a cough, a cold, a flu, he will die. The only thing that will save his life at this moment is a bone marrow transplant. My daughter was 100% matched for Julian, but then she found out that she also has a rare leukemia, and so she couldn't be a bone marrow transplant.
I'm so sorry.
So he goes in Thanksgiving Day. He's home at this time, but when he came down with this acute myeloid leukemia on July 29th, within 3 days he would have been dead. That's how bad it is. So
I'm sure sorry. I know that's got to be very difficult for you. And so you did say you thought you could have those in before Thanksgiving, so hopefully maybe you guys can work together and try to.
Yeah. I mean, whether permitting, I know it's kind of entering into the season, but as long as we try to be civil with everybody, work around and try to make everybody happy, so whatever we would try to do to accommodate and make it work for everybody, obviously.
Okay.
I mean, if you could start from Thanksgiving Day on, he will not be home for 100 days.
So, just to make sure, so you're saying from Thanksgiving, if we could start after Thanksgiving, is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be the best.
Okay.
I'll communicate with Ray, the homeowner, and obviously with your situation, we'd like to be sensitive to everybody, and I'm
Right.
sure that he'd be more than understanding, and definitely we could probably do that.
Okay.
And I appreciate, we
thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Okay, we will go ahead and move on. Next we have a conditional use permit request for Bryson Sylvester for an oversized structure totaling 3,120 square feet located at 6878 West, 4700 South.
This one has a, looks like a Gloucester mic. Better fix that. Hold on. This one has a 23-foot peak. You can jump to the next slide. Go ahead and keep clicking. You can see the site plan for this one. Setbacks have been checked, and it's all in accordance with our ordinances. And then you can see a side view of this building. You should be able to click. We might have one more picture there. No, that's everything. Okay. That's everything we have. That was submitted.
Thank you. Is there a representative for the Sylvesters here? Please come up and tell us your name, and you are a resident of Hopeburg.
Yep, I'm Bryson Sylvester, and I am a resident. If you want to say her name.
Could you tell us? No, go ahead.
Sawyer Sylvester.
Oh, Sawyer, you're the cutest one we've ever had come up to the microphone, I think. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your project?
Yeah, it'll just be basically storage for like camp trailers, toys and stuff.
Any questions from the commission?
The wing on the left side, that's going to be enclosed?
Nope, that's just an awning.
Because on your permit it says 12 by 60 shed. So are you counting
So
that?
that is 12 by 60 lean-to, and it'll be a 40 by 60 shed.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
This is a public hearing, so are there any comments from the public on this particular application? Seeing none, we will bring it back to the commission for discussion and a motion. No discussion, so I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the conditional use permit for Bryson Sylvester at 6878 West, 4700 South for an oversized structure totaling 3120 square feet.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve from Commissioner Severing and a second from Commissioner Greener. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Okay, so now we will move on to a motion item, approval of recommendation on Title 10, Chapters 5 through 8. I don't know if there's anything from the staff that you guys want to tell us about this before we move into our discussion, but nope. Okay.
Well, we can, sure. As the commission is well aware, we've been reviewing this one extensively. Did we lose our mic again?
No, we got it.
We got it. I think you got us that draft back Friday, and so we also in the same boat as you just reviewed it. I do think that it's just about there, 90+%. I do think that we'll need to update the sewer to reflect our discussion, and our minor subdivisions will need to be updated to reflect our discussion from that meeting. I think that those two items still need to be reviewed. However, hopefully we could move forward and, you know, with the conditions that those could be met, and then reviewed and approved before they get to City Council for final approval. But obviously, whatever you guys are comfortable and ready to do at this time. So.
Thank you. I noted the same things as I was going through this document. There were several things that we talked about in our work meetings that I did not see had been updated in here. The sewer ordinance was one of them. It's weird because there was a lot of that verbiage in the previous document, but it's not in here at all. There were some major changes on the minor subdivision that we did not discuss that were in there. Also, we talked about having some wording in there to provide clarification on whether those timelines were business days or calendar days. And then, you know, if you look at my copy, I've got some sticky notes on there of things that were not updated that we had talked about. And so I personally feel like we need to have another work meeting on this to get the changes and the way that we want them, and then be able to look at it as a body again before we recommend approval. I am not confident in sending this up to the City Council the way that it is approved with conditions. because the conditions we've already discussed, I feel like haven't been made. It's a large document, it's not said to be critical, but this is such an important thing, I don't think that we can rush it, and I feel like we need to make sure it's right before we make that recommendation. Those are my thoughts. I'd like to hear what you guys think as well.
I agree, I don't like the idea of passing it up, hoping that things get done correctly. I'd like to be done correctly before we pass it up. So, do we table it, or what's the?
I would suggest tabling it and having another work session just to iron out the things that any of us have noticed that need to be corrected.
Prior to the city council next month?
Well, that's the thing, because I know there's a deadline, but I believe it's more important to do things right than to just get them done and then pay for it down the road. So I don't know if we try to have a work session before the city council meeting. Thing is, it's gonna have to come back before planning commission for a vote. And so,
Well, it's gotta be right.
yeah, yeah,
That's more important than
Yes.
the timeline.
I agree. And so, there's 2 city council meetings in December, but sometimes they cancel. The second one, I don't know. If we could meet before our next planning commission in enough time that we can get it done right, have it on the next planning commission agenda, and then recommend it up to city council by their second meeting in December, would that work, or be
I mean, assuming they have that second meeting. I mean, the only other option I can think of is you, as a planning commission, have another meeting just to handle this item.
Well, and one other thought, and whatever is great, but so we don't run into a similar scenario where we propose changes and then get a draft without any, ability to meet. I don't think those changes were super substantial, other than the 2 ordinances. Maybe we could recommend the changes be made to them, right, via email or call, and then we could review. We could have a meeting if you want prior to review them separate from your planning commission. But either way, whatever you want to do.
I mean, there's the option,
Pick a date.
we could go over the changes that are in here, but that's, I mean, it's up to you guys, it's your time. So we could go over it tonight.
Do you have a call with, is it Wasatch Front or the Hanson?
Hanson.
And just like we went through them?
That's if you guys trust me to speak on behalf of the entire planning commission. I mean, I don't know. if
But we would
that's-
still have a chance to
You
review
would,
it.
you would have a chance to review
Yeah.
it, and I'm okay with that.
We don't have the knowledge you got, I guarantee you.
I think that's the best route. That way you can go through it with them and then
Have them send us a,
send a copy.
So then we still would need to have it come in to the planning commission for a vote.
And I guess you could see how, because it's hard right now not knowing how fast they love what you tell them into a new draft. But what I'm thinking is if you were able to get connected with them sooner than later, and they can send something quick, we can notice at the meeting, which is 24 hours notice, and maybe get it done so that it can get on to the city council by their first meeting in December. I just worried about that second one maybe getting
Well, it does
canceled.
get a little rough with Thanksgiving and
That's.
But it might not work, I don't know, because it depends a little bit on the messenger too.
Well, we wouldn't necessarily have to have it on a Thursday. We could have it whenever works for everybody. The holidays kind of.
I mean, you could preliminarily table it for your meeting in December, however, with the understanding that if it's able to happen faster, it might be nicer to get it to the city council so they can handle it faster.
if we put it on our December agenda, after we get everything changed and we put it on December's and we approve it, is that still enough time to put it on the city
Well,
council?
they should have a second meeting in December, whatever that day is,
A lot of times it comes up as a lack of agenda.
or they might.
But
But
it's either the city council has a second one in December, or the planning commission has to have another one in November.
When do they do theirs, the first and third?
Yeah, so the
So
15th,
the 19th, 5th and the 19th?
I mean, I don't have a problem doing another.
But yeah, that being said, we don't know all the answers now. You could table it till your next meeting, but in the meantime, if something comes up where it's in good shape before that, you can fire up a meeting any day of the week.
I think that's a good idea, and it gives us a little bit more time, like if the goal is to try and have a meeting sooner in November, just in case again it comes back and it's not right, still gives us a little bit more time.
Do they work Fridays?
Big, the Hanson guys. I imagine
I mean, can you get with them
imagine they're around.
between now and Monday?
Probably. The thing is, I would really like to involve Public Works and Malcolm in the discussion because, like, the minor subdivision was very different from what I felt like we discussed. Like, there were some things in there, I didn't know where that came from. And I did reach out to Jared and he was gonna look through it and, get back to me, but I don't feel comfortable just having it be me contacting them and saying this is what we want without having some people that have that expertise involved in that. I think it's just more likely to come out better.
This is chapter 8.
Well, it's chapter 8, but there were some changes in the rest of it that we talked about, that some of them were made and some of them weren't, but the worst things I'm worried about are the fact that there was no sewer ordinance in there and that the minor subdivision didn't seem to match with what we had talked about in the meeting. I didn't feel like it did. And maybe I'm just not understanding, but that's why it would be helpful to at least run it by you, Jared, and see what your
I
understanding
think
is.
we're all on the same page. I think we're just however you guys want to do that in terms of format, how we want to meet with them. So
What do you guys think?
Can
We table it till the next meeting and then figure something else out and make it happen.
Well, I think before we leave, can Malcolm get a hold of them Monday and try to hash it out next week?
So, I'm just trying to, are Malcolm and Jared and I gonna kind of collaborate, send them the suggestions, and then we'll table it till our next meeting in December, but if possible, if we can meet before then and throw a meeting together.
Yeah.
If Hanson Group can get it to us fast enough, then we could meet, have a vote, not put anything else on that agenda, just this, and then get it up to City Council for their first December meeting, if it works out that way. If it doesn't come back ready, then we'll push it, down the road. It's not worth.
Yeah, I went to this with decent plan. Their first meeting in December would be December 5th, and so if they were able to handle it on that day, they probably better get it done. But if it's not possible, then so be it.
I'm out of town last week. I'm moving for a week.
But I think all for right now, probably all you can do is continue it to the next meeting, that for sure.
Okay.
And then alright.
We could just say it's continued to the next meeting and leave the date blank. And whatever that next
That's
meeting.
fine too. It'll be on your next meeting. Whenever that is.
Okay, so were there any things that you wanted to discuss about it tonight, or do you just want to make the motion and?
Let's just make a motion. I think we rehashed through it pretty good in that call. It just needs to match what we talked about.
Okay, well, I'll entertain a motion if that's what you guys want to do.
I'll make a motion that we put the approval of the Title 10, Chapters 5 through 8, have that tabled until the next Planning Commission meeting.
I'll second.
Do we need to specify why or anything, Brandon, or is that just good enough help?
That's okay for the motion. I think we understand why. But
So I have a motion from Commissioner Greener and a second from Commissioner Medicine. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, and then the last thing on our agenda tonight is a discussion motion item on allowed uses and fines and fees. We did talk about this in our work meeting. We started our work meeting half an hour early tonight so that we could start digging into this. We've had it on our agenda a few times before and it keeps getting tabled because of the length of our meetings. We did discuss some things in the work session. I didn't feel like we got through enough that we're ready to necessarily make a motion, but I thought we made some good headway. So, do you guys think that if we, on our next regularly scheduled planning commission meeting, if we came in again at 6, we could get through the rest of it and make a motion for that meeting? You guys okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I will entertain a motion.
Well, before we
Oh, sorry,
finish,
go ahead.
I think that, if you guys, I must have missed part of that, sorry I was a little late, but if you guys could just put something to the
the thing, we have these little handouts that I went through. This is on the fines and fees that talks about what the other cities are doing on similar things. So, maybe if you have a chance to just kind of look at that ahead of the next meeting and what you think would be best for Hooper to do, then when we get together, we can move it quicker. Same with the allowed uses. Like, there's things that stand out that you don't think are appropriate in those designated base zones. If you come prepared with that, and then when we talk about it in work meeting, it should go pretty fast, rather than doing the bulk of the discussion in the work meeting. Is that sound right? What you're saying?
Well, what I'm saying is more like if, I would like to have it as like an option, so we're not like sitting here like, oh, I like this line from this city and this line from here, this from here, like, if someone wants to put something together that they like or want, like a couple options, like find schedule option A, option B, so we can look through those and see like what we want to do. I feel like that's going to be, then it's written down and we know exactly what we're agreeing to, and then say, yep, we're all voting on option B, turn it into nothing, we're good.
Okay.
I just feel like we've been looking at this page for 5 months now, and it's like, oh, that's, I don't know, you know what I mean, so.
Yeah. Okay, so just come prepared, I guess, if you have a proposal of what you think is best, and then we can discuss them. Okay, I will entertain a motion then.
I'll make a motion that we table the discussion for the allowed uses, fines, and fees to our December 12th planning commission meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do the same thing about making that a work meeting, or is that just separate?
You can include it if you want, but we'll start our work meeting at 6 o'clock that night instead.
With our work meeting starting at 6.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Whittison and a second from Commissioner Greener. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that carries. All right, this is the portion of our meeting where we open it up for citizen comment. 3 minutes on any issue that was not on the agenda tonight. Are there any comments that anybody would like to make? Okay. All right, and we will go ahead and close public comment, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Greener to adjourn and a second from Commissioner Whittison. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, that passes. Thank you for coming. Have a good night.